Hi, my name is Mike Thompson. Today I'll be showing you how to play gin rummy as well as a few tips on how to increase your odds of winning. First of all, this is a two-player game, so you'll need a willing opponent as well as a standard deck of 52 cards. So what is the point? The objective of the game is to win rounds by calling gin, knocking, or undercutting your opponent in order to earn points during the rounds to go towards the game's score. Now each player will have 10 cards in their hands, and they will attempt to make sets and runs to reduce the point value of their hand until they can call gin or knock. So runs are 3 or more cards of the same suit in order, and sets are 3 or 4 of a kind. Now, depending on the terms negotiated before the game starts, you will decide whether you are allowing knocking or playing strictly gin, as well as set a point limit, and when I play online, it's typically 50 points. So how are the cards valued for their points? The ace is always 1 point, 2 through 10 is their numerical value, and the face cards are 10 points. Now, aces can be in a run with 2 and 3, but they cannot be in a run with the queen and king. That doesn't work. So how do you deal the first round? You will decide who's going to be the first dealer. The dealer will then deal the cards back and forth until each person has 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then flip the next card to begin the discard pile. All subsequent rounds, the winner will be the next dealer. So after the deal, the non-dealing player has the option to start the round by picking up the face card at the top of the discard pile. If the card is no use to them creating any runs or sets, they can pass, allowing the dealer to have the option to begin the round by taking the same card. If they are not interested in either, the non-dealing player actually begins the round by taking the top card from the deck. They try to make a run or set and discard at the end of the turn to keep the cards in hand at 10 at the end of each turn. This goes back and forth between the players until someone is able to call gin or knock. To win by getting gin, you have to have any combination of runs and sets that uses all 10 cards in your hand after you discard. Once you call gin, the round ends. You lay your cards down in the sets and runs. Any unpaired cards is considered deadwood. When you call gin, since your hand has 0 points in it, you add up the difference, which would be 14, 23, and then 32. So you would win 32 points plus the gin bonus, and when I play online, that's typically 25 points extra. So your total value for this hand would be 57 points. So the other way to end a round is by knocking. You have the option to knock when the unmatched cards in your hand, known as deadwood, add up to less than 10 points when you discard. When you knock, both players lay their cards down into the sets and runs with the deadwood off to the side. The non-knocking player has the chance to lay off extra points into your sets and runs to minimize the point value of their hand. So this king would go on this side of that run, the 9 would go that side, and this 4 would go with that run as well, leaving 9 points in their hand versus your 2. Knocking, the difference between the two, you would get 7 points for that round. Now, the opposite happens when your opponent has that. Let's say you knocked, you have 9 points in your hand. After the layoff, they have 2. they would get the 7-point difference, as well as an undercutting bonus. Undercutting meaning that you have less than or equal to the point value of the other person. When you undercut, regardless of whether your point value is less or equal to theirs, you still get the undercutting bonus. And when I play online, this is typically a 25-point bonus. So you would get the 7 points plus 25, giving you 32 for that hand. So a round is considered null when the deck gets down to the last 2 cards and no one has knocked or called gin. The current dealer will take the cards, reshuffle them, redeal them, and begin a new round. So you have a 3 of a kind, pick up that one, it gives you a 4 of a kind, and now you have to let go of cards. You have this 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, you obviously don't want to break those up. You have these 2 sets that are almost a run. Now which one do you want to break up? To increase your odds and double your chances of getting a card to complete that, you then want to think about nothing can go on the other side of the king. The only card that can make that a run is that jack. Whereas on this one, you could have either the king or the 10. Twice as likely to get a card that goes with that run than this one. In that case, I would recommend throwing one of those cards in the discard pile, because then that leaves you with the opportunity to have 2 cards instead of 1 give you gin. Now another example of why you might want to take a card that's higher than ones you have in your hand. You already have these 2 sets. Your opponent has laid over this 8 of hearts, but you in your deadwood have a 5, 8, 7 of clubs, and an ace. The reason why you do want to take that is because if you took that and discarded the 5, you've just increased your odds from being able to get just a 6 or the 9 of clubs to being the only way to get a run, going from 2 cards to you're also increasing your chances by bringing the other 2 8s into it, increasing your odds of getting a card being 2 to 4 being able to give you a set or run, which would then, if you got it, discard the other one, and that leaves you with an ace to either knock or undercut your opponent with. So your opponent has discarded this 9 of clubs. You need to take a second and look at your hand. Don't just automatically discard those cards as points that are worth 0. So you could take this, add that there, discard this 7, and you could knock for 7 points. But if you look at it, we have the 10, 9, 8, and 7 of clubs. We have the 10, 9, and 8 of spades, as well as the 10, 9, and 8 of diamonds. So where you could have knocked for 7 points, you now can call gin. So don't look at your cards and automatically write them off, or I've made a set, I've already made a run, there's nothing I can do. You can always reshuffle your cards to find whatever is the best possible outcome for you. So once again, this is Mike Thompson. I hope you enjoyed my video on how to play gin rummy and a few tips on how to increase your odds of winning. Thanks.